What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Oak Tree Football Channel. I recently finished making my predictions by division for the NFL this year. So in a few days, I'm going to be making my playoff predictions. But before that, I'm going to be going through and making my NFL award predictions for this year. So the awards I'm going to be going over today are Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and MVP in that order. So without further ado, let's get into this, starting with Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, there are some very good defensive rookies this year, in my opinion. I have 4 finalists for the award. First of all, Chase Young, the second pick in the draft by the Washington football team. He's a really, really talented player. He was fantastic in college. He should definitely be a finalist for it, but he got off to a rough start in training camp, and I think he can turn it around, but he doesn't have the most momentum going into the season, which I think could affect him, but he should still absolutely be a finalist for the award. Second, I have Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons can play really everywhere. He's such a versatile player. He can play linebacker, safety. He even played cornerback in college. I'm predicting him to play linebacker this season, but potentially drop back in coverage at safety at times as well, or maybe even cornerback. But he's a fantastic player, in my opinion, drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to be very good this year, and I think Simmons can make a very big impact for them. Next up, Detroit Lions cornerback Jeff Okudah. Okudah was the 3rd pick in the draft. Okudah is going to be probably the number 1 corner, either 1 or 2. He's going to be a day 1 starter for the Lions this year, and I think he can make a big impact. He was really good in college. In my opinion, he was the 3rd best defensive player in this draft, behind only Isaiah Simmons and Chase Young. But he was still a great player, definitely the best cornerback in the draft class. And I could see him getting, maybe a couple interceptions this year, and I think that could go a long way for him winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then finally, I have Patrick Queen, the Baltimore Ravens linebacker. He was taken, I believe, 27th overall, something like that, which I think was way too low for him. He might have been 29th, which I think was way too low for him, because I think he's a really, really good player. And I think he can be good for the Ravens this year, because he's probably going to start. And he was a really good player in college. He was probably one of the better linebackers, in my opinion, probably number 2 or 3 in this year's draft class. The only one that's really better than him is Simmons, in my opinion. I see him having a big impact for the Ravens in his first season, but winning it, I have Isaiah Simmons of the Arizona Cardinals. For me, it's really between Young and Isaiah Simmons, but I'm going to go with Simmons because I think Young is going to get off to a bad start. I still think Young's a great player. I think he'll have a good season, but I think Simmons overall will be better just because of his versatility and his ability to play, all over the field. So I have Isaiah Simmons winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Moving on to Offensive Rookie of the Year, once again, I have 4 finalists. First of all, the first pick in the NFL draft, Joe Burrow. Of course, plays for the Bengals now. He's going to be the starting quarterback. Was absolutely incredible in college. Had arguably the best season in college football history as a quarterback. Will probably be really, really good again. And he has some really, really good receivers. I mean, he has A.J. Green. He has Tyler Boyd. He has a lot of really good players, and John Ross is really starting to develop as a player. Hasn't been great in his career, but he's getting better now. He's got a lot of really good receiving targets, and he could have some big numbers this season. Also because he can scramble as well. He's got a good running back in Joe Mixon that can make some catches. He's going to make a big impact this season. Next up, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Kansas City Chiefs running back, taken with the 32nd pick in the draft. I really like Helaire. I think he's a fantastic player. And he should fit perfectly into this Chiefs scheme. He's a good receiving back. He can be obviously a rusher. He's got speed. He may not have the most stamina, but he's still got speed to break away on a big run. He's going to make a big impact. He's probably going to be the starter. He's going to make a lot of receptions, but he's also going to get a lot of carries, which is really going to go a long way for him this season. I think he's going to be one of the best rookies in the NFL. I really like Edwards-Helaire as a player. Should have a good season. Next up is J.K. Dobbins of the Baltimore Ravens. Dobbins was really good in college for the Ohio State Buckeyes. One of the better running backs in this year's draft class, in my opinion. It was really a steal that the Ravens were able to get him where they did, because he should have gone probably earlier than that, even though there were some other good running backs that went off the board before him. He was really good, and he's been really good in training camp so far. So if he starts, which I don't think he will because he'll probably back up Mark Ingram, he can have a big season. But backing up Mark Ingram, he's going to get carries, he's going to get touches, but it's going to be less because he's a backup, which I think will affect him, for when it comes to Rookie of the Year voting. And the final candidate I have is Denver Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. I really like Jeudy as a player. I think he has a lot of talent. In my opinion, he was the second best receiver in this year's draft class, but I think he will have the best rookie season out of the receivers. I think Drew Lock is going to take a big step up with the Broncos this year, and I think Jeudy's going to be one of his favorite targets. Jeudy will probably be the number 2 receiver behind Courtland Sutton, but I think he can make a big impact this season. I really liked him in college, and I think he can be a finalist, but I don't think he'll win. For the winner for me, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It was really between Burrow and Helaire for me because Dobbins is going to be a backup. I don't think Jeudy will be good enough, but realistically, it'll probably be Burrow just because, he's a quarterback. It'll probably be the same situation as it was last year. Edwards-Helaire was the better player, but Burrow gets the award. I ended up giving it to Helaire, even though Burrow will probably take the award, just because I think Helaire will be the better player. But Burrow and Edwards-Helaire are both fantastic players, and I think that one of those two will win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it's really close between them, but I decided to go with Edwards-Helaire. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, I have 5 finalists. First of all, Khalil Mack, linebacker for the Chicago Bears. Wasn't great last year, but he is still pretty good. I think he can bounce back this year. I think the Bears will get better this year. I got Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. He's really, really good. With the Rams. He is double-teamed a lot, but he's still able to get multiple sacks. Definitely should be a finalist, and if not the winner, he should be a finalist this year. Next up is T.J. Watt. Watt, in my opinion, is a really good player. His brother J.J. Watt was one of the best defensive players in the league for a few years now, or a few years in the past, but T.J. Watt has really just been incredible recently with the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to bounce back this year. I think they'll be solid, and Watt is just going to be so important for that team. I mean, he's an incredible player. He's been since his rookie season, and in my opinion, he should absolutely be a finalist this year. Next up, I got Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa may be a little bit of a wild card because he's only a second-year player, but he was really good as a rookie, and I can only guess that he'll improve in his second year. He was great in college. Some people were doubting he would really be able to make the step up to the pros, but he did it well. One defensive Rookie of the Year, and I think he'll be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year this season. I think he'll have another good season. I think the Niners will be good this year, and I think Bosa can be dangerous on that offensive line for the second year, defensive line for the second year running. And then my final candidate is Chandler Jones. Some people may not agree with this one, but Chandler Jones is a really good player. He's pretty underrated. I think the Cardinals are going to be good this year, but really one way that they're going to have to be good, one way that they're going to be as good as I think, is their defense is going to need to take a step up. And I think Chandler Jones is going to be really good. I mean, he was really good last year. I think he'll get even better this year. He's a really, really good player overall. He can bring pressure. He can even draw back at times. I think Chandler Jones is going to be a great player, so I do have him as a finalist. But winning the award, I have T.J. Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Watt is just a really, really good player. And I think he's the best one here. I think he'll have the best season. I still think Mack and Donald and Bosa and Jones will all have good seasons, but I think T.J. Watt will have the best, and I have him winning Defensive Player of the Year. Moving on to Offensive Player of the Year, I have 4 finalists: Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Lamar Jackson. Mahomes coming off the Super Bowl winning season, of course. He's just an incredible player. I mean, he's probably the best player in the NFL right now. He should have an incredible season. If he doesn't, it'll probably be because of an injury. He's going to be incredible this year. The Chiefs have a great team. He's a great player. I think he's going to do big things again this year. McCaffrey is the second candidate, the running back from the Carolina Panthers. He did so well for them last year, and I just don't see a reason why he won't do, more this year. I think he's going to have a lot of production again. I believe he had over 50% of their touches last year. I would not be surprised to see him do the same thing again this year, to be honest. He's just an incredible player. He's a great receiving back. Obviously, he's great at running the ball. He's just an incredible player. Next up, I have Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. Now, I think Barkley is going to get a lot of touches this year because I don't really think the Giants will throw as much because I don't think the receiving group is great. Barkley has had injuries he had injuries last year, and 2 years ago he has rookie season. I think this should be his best season yet, and I think he can be a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year. I think it's going to be tough for him to win it with a pretty weak Giants team, but he is a really, really good player, and I think he can be a finalist. And finally, my final finalist is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won MVP last year, and I do think he'll get worse, But the reason I have him as an Offensive Player of the Year finalist is because he's so good at throwing the ball, but also running the ball. He's just a great all-around offensive player, which some of these guys don't have. I mean, McCaffrey can be a receiver, same with Barkley, but for Mahomes, he's a good runner, but Lamar Jackson is a much better runner. So I think Lamar Jackson will be able to make it to finalists for Offensive Player of the Year just because of his running ability and his passing ability. Once again, I don't think he'll be as good as last year, but I still think he'll be a good player, and I have him as a finalist. But winning the award, I have McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is just going to be really good again this year. I think he's going to get a lot of production. He was fantastic last year. I think he'll be good again this year, and he is, in my opinion, the best running back in the NFL, and I think he'll, be able to keep that with winning Offensive Player of the Year. Next up is Comeback Player of the Year. This is probably the one that people are least interested in, but the three finalists I have are Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Stafford, and Todd Gurley. Roethlisberger and Stafford were both injured for the most of last season. Gurley was, he had injuries, but he did play a lot. He just wasn't very good. Roethlisberger, I think he has been one of the better quarterbacks in his career. He's been in the league for a while, but last year he missed the season, obviously, and the Steelers weren't great. They really weren't that good, but I think with Roethlisberger this year, they should be a lot better. Matt Stafford of the Detroit Lions. People are forgetting how good the Lions started the season last year. They were undefeated through, I believe, 4 games. If Matt Stafford doesn't get injured, maybe they can sneak into the playoffs. Probably not, but he was really good to start the season, and I think he can bounce back well this season. Finally, I got Todd Gurley. I think Gurley's going to be really good with the Falcons this season. I think all these guys are going to be really good, but Gurley, I think, will fit well with the Falcons. I mean, he was cut because he wasn't great last year, but a lot of that was due to some, nagging injuries. But I think he can get a lot better this season. I think he should be a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year. But winning the award, I have Ben Roethlisberger. Some people may not agree with this one. I think all these guys are going to be really good, but I think Roethlisberger will be the best. Mostly because, maybe he won't be the best, but I think he will win the award because I think the Steelers will make the playoffs while some of these other teams won't. I think all these guys are going to be really good, but I think Roethlisberger, in my opinion, will win Comeback Player of the Year. 2 awards left, Coach of the Year and MVP. Moving on to Coach of the Year, I have 5 finalists for this award. First of all, Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott. The Bills have been really good recently, mostly because of McDermott. I think the Bills are going to be good again this year. I have them winning the division over the Patriots. So I think the Bills are a very good team, and I think McDermott is an incredible coach, definitely one of the best in the league. Next up, I have Cliff Kingsbury. Some people might not agree with this one, but I've said it earlier in the video, and I'll say it again. I think the Cardinals are going to be really good this year, and I think if they are able to take that big of a step up, Cliff Kingsbury should be able to be a finalist for the Coach of the Year. Next up is Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Reid is a really good coach. I mean, obviously he was able to win the Super Bowl last year. I think he's a top 3 coach in the NFL, maybe even a top 3 coach, of all time for current coaches. Definitely not top 3 coach of all time, but maybe top 10 all time. I mean, he's been coaching teams on a high level for years. When they traded Alex Smith and had Mahomes as a starter, I really didn't believe it would work at first, but Andy Reid has really been so good for this team. I mean, obviously Mahomes has done a good job as well, but Reid is just a fantastic coach, and he should be a finalist. Next candidate is Pete Carroll. I think the Seahawks are going to be very good this year. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL, and I think Pete Carroll will be a finalist. I think it's going to be tough for him to win it, but I have the Seahawks being really good this year. I think he'll be a finalist. And the final finalist I have is John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens were really good last year, and though I think they will decline this year, I still think they're going to be a really, really good team. One of the better in the AFC, one of the better in the NFL in all, and I think Harbaugh will be able to be a finalist for Coach of the Year. But winning it, I have Cliff Kingsbury. Now, some people may not agree with this one, and I understand why, but I think that the Cardinals are going to be really good this year, and if they are able to take that kind of a step up, I think Kingsbury should deserve Coach of the Year, and I think he will win it. There are a lot of other players I could see winning it, or coaches, I could see winning it if the Cardinals don't do as well as I think. McDermott, Reid, Carroll, Harbaugh, obviously of those I mentioned, but I do have Kingsbury winning it. And now for the final award. Probably the most important award, MVP. Now, I actually only have 2 finalists for MVP because I only have 2 people that I really think can be in the competition. There are a few others that I was, close to putting them on this list, but I kind of feel like they would be a waste of space on this list because I only think there's going to be 2 real candidates for it this year. That is Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. I think these 2 guys are going to be the 2 best players in the NFL this year. I think they're going to be the 2 finalists for MVP. I don't think anyone will get a clean sweep like Lamar Jackson did this year, but I only think there'll be 2 players that get votes, and I think that will be Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Both of these players are incredible. They're probably the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe you can make an argument that Lamar Jackson should be up there as well because I do believe Jackson is a fantastic quarterback. But I think it's going to be between Wilson and Mahomes. Wilson is fantastic under pressure. He's a great scrambling quarterback. But he has never received an MVP vote in his career, which I just find crazy because he has been really good in his career. Maybe he could have deserved one last year. I think Lamar Jackson deserved the win, but Wilson was pretty good last year. And then Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes has done everything in basically 2 years of being in the starter. He's won the Super Bowl. He's won the MVP. He's just done so much. He's had 5,000 pass yards. He's had 50 touchdowns, which almost no players do. And he did it in the same season, which is just incredible. Mahomes is an incredible player, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a great season this year. I really do believe so. And I think it's going to be between Wilson, and I think it's going to be between Mahomes. Both of these guys are incredible. I think both of them could make a strong argument that they deserve it. But I am going to say Russell Wilson. I think Wilson is a really, really good player. I think both these guys are, but I think the Seahawks are going to be great this year, and I think Wilson is going to do so good for them this year. I don't think they're going to use the running game as much. I think they're going to throw a lot, and I think Wilson's just going to be incredible. Patrick Mahomes will be great as well, but for me, I think Russell Wilson will be named NFL MVP this season. He's got good targets. Maybe Mahomes has better targets, but that's why I think Wilson will win. With arguably worse targets, I think he'll perform potentially even better. Mahomes will be close. It'll only be by a matter of votes, but I do have Russell Wilson winning the NFL MVP. So those are my award predictions for the 2020 NFL season. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more NFL and college football content. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree with them? Please tell me in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video.